There's a lot of things that you can't undo. I can't unsee. I can't unhear. It's there.
There's still things that I saw and I witnessed that I never in a million years thought that my brain was gonna have to process, that still play in there.
It was just hard for me to say, why did I sit alive and why not? Why I'm alive and why I'm not dead? Why my friend died and I didn't?
They're strangers to each other, but forever linked by one tragic night. They're survivors of the Pulse nightclub shooting, and ever since, they've each had to navigate a unique journey of healing.
It feels like it was yesterday.
5 years later, the memories are still so vivid. The pain is difficult to overcome. Becoming who he is today hasn't been easy for Norman Casiano Mojica.
I feel like my biggest moment in the 5 years has been getting this apartment and living on my own, because prior to that, I felt like I wasn't in control.
Norman was shot twice in the back at Pulse. Our cameras there that night saw him being walked to ORMC for help.
Without my mom and my dad, I honestly don't know where I would be.
Norman lived with his parents for years after Pulse. He couldn't take care of himself during his excruciating physical recovery, and coping with the trauma and the loss affected every aspect of his life.
Just the surviving part is, I feel, one of the hardest things that I've had to go through.
Permanent nerve damage, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and survivor's guilt.
I'm stuck in that loop of something is gonna happen.
Triggers are everywhere. He struggles to find genuine friendship and love, afraid of losing people close to him. He takes medications and can no longer work. Before Pulse, Norman completed culinary school, was working 2 jobs, and getting ready to start a cosmetology program. Now, he survives on disability payments.
To love again would mean to love again, to trust again, to let go of what was again.
Therapy and writing poetry help fill his days now.
I was in such a dark mental place that seeing where I am now, 5 years, and taking care of my mental health this year, it's like, I sometimes have to tell myself, give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing this.
I'm still in therapy.
Passion Suarez took cover on a stage at Pulse when the shooting started. She escaped the club, but continues to struggle with PTSD, survivor's guilt, and even memory loss.
Everything is just kind of like ripped up paper and blown in the wind, and I'm trying to catch it to put it all back together. I would say that from June 12, 2016, to now, I would say I'm probably about 60 to 70% put back together.
Before Pulse, Passion was a bartender. After, she couldn't step foot in a bar. It was all too traumatic. And for the first time in her life, she needed assistance from others.
I kind of had to put my tail between my legs and go, hey, you don't have any money right now. You don't have any income right now. Accept this help. Because I'm always helping. Accept this help.
I am brilliant.
Affirmations help her get through the days and nights, and so does her son, Lorenzo.
Early on in his life, he had to learn how to love me more because mommy was distraught and stressed a lot of days. And he knows, if I get anxious, there's this little heart and it has a rainbow on it. And if I'm stressed, he'll just come and he'll sit next to me and he'll give it to me and he'll rub me and be like, Mommy, it's okay, and we'll pray together.
He's the reason she continues to work towards reclaiming her life. In 2018, Passion started her own cleaning company.
I want to be a great role model for him. So when he, sees me, he knows my mom busted her butt even after Pulse. After all the sadness and stuff, and she still got up every day and she still made sure I made it to school and made sure I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No matter who she had to get the money from or the food, I made it happen.
You said before you're about 60 to 70% healed or complete. Do you ever think you'll be 100%?
That's my hope. That's my hope.
They couldn't understand how I was still alive. I still had a pulse.
Leo Melendez was shot in the head, the elbow, and the leg inside Pulse nightclub. 3 weeks in a coma, dozens of surgeries, hearing and vision loss. Leo had to learn to walk again. Therapy he's still in today, but Leo says he chooses to focus on all of the good things in his life.
I'm like, I don't have no other choice. Think about it. I said, if I don't have that positive inside of me, I will literally just unravel completely. So I have to have that. And I put myself in my brain, I have to be positive. I have to be positive for the people that love me and for myself.
Leo lives for his daughter Bella and for his friend Javier Jorge Reyes, who was by Leo's side and lost his life inside Pulse. The pair were co-workers at the Gucci store at the mall at Millennia. Leo is grateful the company held a position for him for 2 years while he recovered, but it's not lost on Leo. His life could have been different.
I could have a better position. I could have, making more money, if you want to say. But due to the lack of the handicap place that I am now, even though I don't want to put myself as a handicapped person, but I am. I mean, I cannot hear 100%. I cannot run anymore. So I cannot do things that normal other person can do.
Leo says he has closure thanks in part to 6 months of mental health counseling.
It was therapy to help me to reassure that what happened was, it was not under my fault. It was not my fault at all.
Survivors of the attack have been offered free mental health assistance. It's coordinated through the Orlando United Assistance Center, connecting anyone touched by Pulse with counseling. But the OUAC's funding is running dry.
What is the reality? How long do you think this program is sustainable?
I know we could sustain it for the next year.
Also, all of the funds to help survivors who may be disabled or struggling to work and pay bills because of PTSD are gone.
It's just kind of like we don't really exist.
But life-altering injuries, physical therapy, surgeries, PTSD, survivor's guilt, anxiety, and depression last far longer than funding and services.
It's really sad to me when I see our clients that are survivors or family members that experience one of the worst mass shootings in American history are in poverty.
Joel Jr. Morales has been helping Pulse survivors since day one, working for the center and OUAC.
I have heard of Pulse survivors that are experiencing homelessness. One person was living in a U-Haul truck. Like, that's sad.
I feel there could be a little bit more. I know how to budget money and stuff, so it lasted me way longer than a lot of other survivors that I've spoken with and stuff. But then it runs out.
The One Orlando Fund raised $31.6 million. Families of those killed got $350,000. The survivors got anywhere from $25,000 to $300,000. This was the only money they ever got. In 2020, OUAC commissioned a study of what survivors still need. It found mental health services and financial assistance were top of the list for at least another 4 years.
I wish there was something that was continual for these people, just because there's a lot of healing and recovery that still needs to be done.
The One Orlando Fund is now closed. Their website directs you to donate to the Better Together Fund. That fund, which had $300,000 to help survivors and families, ran out of money in 2019 and is also now closed.
I would say that they should probably could have done more help to the people that were left in really bad shape like I did, because it's not just me. I know there's other few that were left in pretty bad condition as well.
Everything that's going on nonprofit-wise with Pulse that everyone sees kind of has nothing to do with, actually I can take the kind of out, it has nothing to do with the survivors.
Barbara Poma, the owner of Pulse Nightclub, founded One Pulse after the massacre.
I think everyone wants to provide them everything that they need. I mean, who wouldn't want to give them everything that they need?
One Pulse is raising money for the proposed museum, education services, and legacy scholarships. They've raised $20 million so far, and they're looking to raise another $49 million. But the foundation does not provide financial assistance to survivors.
So when the conversation was happening to form One Pulse, did it ever cross your mind to maybe help them financially?
In the initial inception of One Pulse, there were so many services in place and so many other people doing that work that when we were figuring out what to do here, we were told that we shouldn't duplicate efforts, that those things were already happening, those mechanisms were in place, and that anything we would be doing would be in duplication.
But today, 5 years later, those services and funds no longer exist or are broke.
You said there are financial services still available to Pulse survivors, and I've been making a lot of phone calls over the last few weeks, and there are none. There are still resources if they need mental health help. They can contact several places to find that. But for survivors who are struggling financially, there's no more money left.
It wasn't that I said to myself, how long is this going to last? I was in myself trying to figure out what to do next too. So I think that we know people are still having surgeries and are medically have needs and financial needs, but at the time, it wasn't in my purview to know how much they were getting or how long it was going to take. These weren't things that I was involved in or did I know about.
What about now?
Well, now the foundation is chosen the path of building the memorial and museum, and that is the mission of the One Pulse.
Through the years, we've spoken with several people critical of the foundation's mission and Poma herself. Even today, some say raising $49 million to build a museum is tone deaf, while survivors struggle daily.
There's no number that I can call right now if I needed help with my electricity to call and be like, hey, I know you guys have gotten all these donations. Is there a way? There's none of that.
Poma told me One Pulse has a dedicated staff member who helps refer survivors to places where they might be able to get the assistance they need. Places like the Orlando United Assistance Center, which just had its Pulse survivor funding vetoed by Governor DeSantis. That means there are no funds available to help survivors like Norman, Passion, and Leo reach their goal to build back a full life after Pulse.
I keep going forward, just forward, smile, and say, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be okay.
I have to remind myself that I'm here, I'm in the present, and it's okay to feel like this because I'm so down on myself of feeling sad. I'm like, Passion, you can't. You have to be strong. You have to be strong. And I do, but it's okay for me to feel sad, just not wallow in it.
I think about my friends. I think about the fact that they passed and that I want to make them proud. I want them to be able, wherever they are, to be able to see it. And I'm getting a little emotional, but for them to be able to see that those of us that did survive, we deserved to survive, and we're doing what we can with it for them.